Welcome Trinidad and Tobago to our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Joseph Lopez. Let's take a look at the headlines. The Prime Minister tells our foreign diplomats to put their best foot forward. Guyana to receive assistance from Trinidad and Tobago in its search for oil and gas. And Cabinet agrees to bring legislation to grant the same powers as police officers to members of the Defence Force. Welcome in our top story. The National Security Council, headed by the Prime Minister, the Honourable Kamla Persad-Bissessor, has referred the matter relating to the alleged flying squad to the Police Commissioner for investigation. There have been several allegations that National Security Minister, the Honourable Jack Warner, had knowledge about the re-establishment of the unit. However, the Honourable Prime Minister denounced this in the Parliament.
Mr. Warner has consistently denied that he was instrumental in establishing any new flying squad. His report to the National Security Council reflected this. And so today, Mr. Speaker, I wish to report that after full discussion and careful deliberations, the National Security Council took the decision to refer the said reports to the Commissioner of Police for an investigation into any alleged wrongdoings, unlawful conduct and or action by any or all persons purported to be involved in this matter. As Chairman of the National Security Council, I wish to emphasize that this course of action was taken at the very first meeting of the National Security Council upon receipt of the written reports from the relevant officials. And therefore, I again repeat that there has been no direct or implied approval ever given by the National Security Council or by the Cabinet for the establishment of any such unit. I have knowledge, Mr. Speaker, I have no knowledge of any such alleged activity. And Mr. Speaker, I want to make it very clear, these are allegations, and this is why the Security Council took the decision to refer it to the Commissioner of Police for investigation. I also state unequivocally that as Prime Minister, any initiative considered by my Cabinet for combating crime will always be fully and completely within the laws and Constitution of Trinidad and Tobago and under the jurisdiction, where appropriate, of the Commissioner of Police.
A call today from the Prime Minister, the Honourable Kamla Persad-Bissessor, for persons responsible for representing Trinidad and Tobago on the international front, and those who do the inverse must increase their efforts.
Trinidad and Tobago's Foreign Service will be called upon to be more dynamic, responsive and innovative than ever before. This, according to Prime Minister, the Honourable Kamla Persad-Bissessor, as she addressed the heads of mission.
We have a GDP per capita of US $16,699, which results in our being classified as a high-income developing country. And so, if we are to maintain this standing, if we are to thrive and prosper, we have to actualize the objectives and goals of our developmental plans with increased productivity at home, whilst at the same time encouraging greater foreign investment through our regional and international networks.
The Honourable Prime Minister spoke about Trinidad and Tobago's drive to ensure a position in the international oil and natural gas market.
We have to remain on the pulse of the emerging pattern of the world's energy and mineral resources, which have been transformed by new discoveries of oil and gas, and determine how to capitalize rather than become marginalized by new entrants into an industry which generates a large percentage of our wealth. If we are to continue to enjoy prosperity or to have continued prosperity in an environment of international peace and security, we have to become more influential in the international community.
The Prime Minister then spoke of the crucial roles that the heads of mission play in strengthening Trinidad and Tobago's global position.
Utilizing the resources and authority of your diplomatic offices, the art of diplomacy, and the methodologies of international relations, each of you as High Commissioner, or as Ambassador, or as Consul General, has a most significant role to play in advancing national objectives and strategic interests identified by the state. Political and economic decisions, civil unrest, or new or broken alliances occurring far beyond our own geographic boundaries all have the potential to impact us here at home.
The 2013 Heads of Mission Conference aimed at strengthening and advancing the formulation and implementation of the foreign policy objectives of Trinidad and Tobago through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Trinidad and Tobago Overseas Missions. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
Meanwhile, the Foreign Affairs Minister has pledged to ensure that diplomacy in this country is strengthened. His words follow the recently held Heads of Mission Conference.
Achieving greater diplomacy in Trinidad and Tobago. That's what the current administration is working towards. This follows the Heads of Mission Conference and subsequently the Heads of Mission Conference dinner held at the Diplomatic Centre, St. Anne's. The function was hosted by Prime Minister the Honourable Kamla Persad-Bissessar and gave the various ambassadors, high commissioners, charge d'affaires and consul generals a chance to interact with each other and members of government. Minister of Foreign Affairs, the Honourable Winston Dukaran, addressed those in attendance and spoke of the significance of the event.
And we are very happy that the Prime Minister has agreed to host this function in honor of these efforts. And I hope that this will be but another new beginning in the long and distinguished history of diplomacy in Trinidad and Tobago. Another chapter will have to be written. The last time a conference of this sort took place in Trinidad and Tobago by our mission heads was in 2006. We hope that we can now institutionalize this level of interaction, this coordination of public policy positions in international relations, and prepare ourselves even better to chart the course ahead.
The Honourable Minister said that despite the size of Trinidad and Tobago, an international standard has always been maintained.
We know, as a small country, we do not have the same clout as larger countries with more power. But we do know that we have always predicated our foreign policy on values that are universally accepted, values that have been endorsed by countries like the United Kingdom, countries like Canada, and countries in Europe. And it is those fundamental values for the conduct of international relations that have always been our inspiration and will continue to be such as we embark on the road ahead of us.
There are approximately 31 diplomatic missions in Trinidad and Tobago, and each carries out various services and activities throughout the year that foster better relations between this country and those which the missions represent. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
After the break, Guyana to get assistance from Trinidad and Tobago in its search for oil and gas. Stay with us. Welcome back. Minister of Energy and Energy Affairs, Senator the Honourable Kevin Ramnarine, has announced Guyana will receive assistance from Trinidad and Tobago in its search for oil and gas. He makes the announcement as this country hosts a CARICOM conference on energy.
Ministers responsible for energy and natural resources throughout the CARICOM region are meeting to discuss oil and gas distribution and policies. This as the 41st special meeting of the Council for Trade and Economic Development, or QUATED, on energy gets underway. Delivering the key address, Energy Minister Kevin Ramnarine says recent developments have proved the international confidence placed in this country's oil and gas sector.
Ours is one of the most advanced energy sectors in the world. As you know, we are now headed to look for oil and gas in our deep waters in excess of 1,000 meters. This, we believe, may prove a whole new oil and gas province and guarantee the prosperity of Trinidad and Tobago well into the next generation. The recent award of 4 blocks to BHP Billiton and the sale of Repsol's LNG assets to Shell and the Mitsubishi methanol to dimethyl ether project are all signals that confidence is at an all-time high in this country's energy sector.
Minister Ramnarine says the government will continue to build on this confidence by seeking to promote a thrust into the global market.
While we always seek to protect and enhance our position at home, we have set an aggressive and ambitious vision for expansion into the region and into Africa. The vehicle for this expansion has thus far been the NGC and its subsidiary, the NEC, but we should not discount the possibility of Petrotrin also being part of that thrust into the global market. The NGC is currently in talks with Costa Rica and Jamaica with regard to the establishment of regasification terminal infrastructure in those countries.
He also reveals that this country and Guyana will sign an agreement which will see assistance provided to Guyana in their search for natural energy resources.
I will sign a memorandum of cooperation with Minister Robert Prasad, who is the Minister of Natural Resources and the Environment of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. This MOC will allow us to collaborate on a government-to-government basis and will facilitate Trinidad and Tobago's assisting Guyana in its search for oil and natural gas.
Meanwhile, speaking at the conference, Prime Minister of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, is calling on CARICOM citizens to be more energy efficient. He makes the call as he says national policies and attitudes must reflect CARICOM goals and policies, energy efficiency being one of those.
We have to do energy efficiency things. We have to change the light bulbs, make them energy efficient. You know, the old air conditioning systems, we have to fix them up properly. We have to keep our vehicles in good order, not to drive a lot of old skettles and burn a lot of gas or diesel and also pollute the atmosphere. So that, but all these are things which we speak of regionally, and there's some manifestation in them in national policy.
Gregory McBurney, News 4.
The National Security Minister, Jack Warner, has advised Parliament that Cabinet has agreed to bring legislation that will grant the same powers as police officers to the Defence Force. The announcement was made in the Parliament.
Members of the Trinidad and Tobago Defence Force are one step away from having the same powers as police officers, including powers to arrest, search, seize and to carry arms. This as a proposed bill to give legal protection to Defence Force personnel when they accompany police officers to assist in the detection, investigation and prosecution of criminal offences was laid in the Parliament. That means they will enjoy the same rights, privileges and immunities as police officers. Cabinet approved and confirmed a note brought by Attorney General Annan Ramlogan to clothe specially selected members of the Trinidad and Tobago Defence Force with the legal authority to function and perform the duties of police officers. A statement from the Office of the Attorney General says soldiers would be trained in policing and would work with the police. The AG statement goes on to say, in furtherance of this crime initiative, the government will ensure that Defence Force personnel would be trained in areas such as police practice and procedure, investigations, law and court process to ensure they are properly equipped to undertake their duties alongside police officers. It adds the government wishes to ensure that whilst members of the Trinidad and Tobago Defence Force are to be placed on an equal legal footing and benefit from the same powers that police officers enjoy, while actually engaging in operations with the police, they will not be permitted to embark on policing exercises on their own. At present, members of the Defence Force have no powers of arrest other than those of any ordinary citizen. Soldiers have already helped fight crime as members of the Special Anti-Crime Unit of Trinidad and Tobago, SORT, and during joint patrols with the police. The legislation would boost the capacity of the police service and give comfort to Defence Force members who are fighting crime by ensuring they are legally protected in doing their duties. Gregory McBurney, News 4.
Up next, Wayne Cunningham brings us the very latest in sports. Stay with us. Welcome back. St. Anne's Ranger and Police FC are in the bottom half of the TT Pro League points standings as they got a chance to garner some much-needed points when they met in a rescheduled fixture on Wednesday. Wayne Cunningham has the highlights from the Bolton Stadium.
Marvin Lee was a hat-trick hero for St. Anne's Rangers when they met fellow TT Pro League strugglers, Police, on Wednesday at the Bolton Stadium in Vancouver. He was first on the score sheet in the 13th minute, stabbing in a Ryan O'Neill cross past Police goalkeeper Anthony Marshall. 4 minutes later, Rangers had a great opportunity to double that advantage when Mohamed Nakid was set free by Devon Modest. However, his curler went inches wide with only Marshall to beat and some passing options available. Police had some chances for the equalizer in the first half. First, Jamil Perry, and then Captain Todd Ryan testing the skill of Rangers goalkeeper Zane Coker. Noel Williams also came close on the stroke of half-time, but 1-0 Rangers will be the score at the break. 4 minutes into the second half, it would be St. Anne's doubling their advantage, as Lee grabbed his second on the night after fine work from Modest. That goal sparked the Lawmen into action. 4 minutes after that, they struck, Williams nodding in the Christian Thomas cross at the back post, beating Coker to reduce the deficit. Kareem Perry then leveled the scores at 2-2 in the 57th with this strike. And before you could say roadblock, the Police took the lead through that man Williams as he was sent free courtesy a pearl of a pass from Elijah Belgrave. And just like that, it was 3-2 Police. And it could have been 4 if Coker had allowed Williams to have his way. However, their defenses lapsed as they focused on attack. The Law was punished in the 67th minute as Lee got his third on the night. Police won a penalty in the 72nd minute after defender Dwayne James hacked down Dexter Allen inside the area. But Williams blasted the spot kick high over the bar. There would be no further scoring in this one, with both teams settling for a point and maintaining their places on the standings with Police in 6th and Rangers in 7th. Wayne Cunningham, News 4 Sports.
When we return, single fathers step up in society. Stay with us. Welcome back. Men in Trinidad and Tobago have been traditionally cast a negative light when it comes to their responsibilities as fathers. However, many males are by no means deadbeat dads and are actually taking care of their children on their own.
Single fathers in Trinidad and Tobago are calling for recognition and public sensitization to the many issues and challenges they face. Many fathers claim that there is prejudice against them in matters relating to the custody of their children following a failed marriage. Mr. Ronald Fields, who represents the Single Fathers Association of Trinidad and Tobago, says his group is moving towards removing the negative perceptions that society has claimed against them.
We are single fathers. We always hear the deadbeat sides, deadbeat dads, fatherlessness in the homes. But no one tends to notice sometimes the issues that the father faces when he goes to the magistrate court, the issues when we go to the police stations. Society tends to have a traditional saying that dads, most of the time, single dads are deadbeats, and this is totally opposite. And we are speaking out against this, highlighting the good fathers. But there are many good fathers and the fathers that have been made despondent possibly by some harsh court rulings as well.
He says the group, which is in its early stages of establishment, uses Facebook as a means of getting the relevant information out to the public. He says many persons have expressed their interest in the association through this medium, and the numbers keep increasing.
We have over 700 members there of fathers, both fathers and mothers, and women, single women, young kids as well, who understand the plight that we fighting for, having fathers involved in their lives, whether at the home or whether not at the home. We have many fathers that come on there, getting an avenue through this group to voice their opinions, voice their problems, voice the pains that they're going through, the issues that we have to deal with when we face the courts. Sometimes we go into the courts and the way we are badgered, we are treated, in other words, as the aggressor without even put on trial. We are, in other words, sentenced before even trial. So the association has really formed for us to stand up against this traditional bias and these traditional the traditional sayings that they have against single fathers right now.
The association is in current talks with Minister of Gender, Youth and Child Development, Senator the Honourable Marlene Kudre, to gain national recognition and a space which holds the magnitude of International Women's Day. Nikolai Edwards, News 4.
A Caribbean One Health workshop entitled One Health From Ideal to Action was held to inform, discuss and solicit ideas on how to apply the One Health approach to issues at the animal-human environmental interface in the Caribbean region. One Health is a term used to represent the collaborative efforts of multiple disciplines working locally, nationally and globally to obtain optimal health for people, animals and the environment.
About 1 billion people worldwide are undernourished, and a larger number suffer the consequences of excessive or unbalanced energy consumption. This constitutes a major risk factor for disabilities, illnesses, and death from chronic malnutrition and non-communicable diseases.
Dr. Theodore Ghani says our health approaches can offer positive benefits to society. For example, effective long-term approaches to food security must address environmental sustainability, animal productivity, as well as human well-being. This includes issues of equitable access to nutritious foods.
In order to satisfy food requirements for the growing human population, global agricultural production must increase by 70% by the year 2050. It is important to ensure that this increase is achieved without environmental degradation.
Even diseases that are limited to animal populations can have significant impacts on human health. Severe animal diseases can lead to reductions in trade and tourism and result in tremendous public anxiety.
Nearly 2/3 of the known human pathogens are of animal origin, and 3/4 of emerging human infectious diseases are zoonotic, predominantly from wild animal species. Animal influenzas are becoming a potential threat to poultry and swine production and may cause pandemics with severe social and health impacts that require continuous coordination and exchange of information between animal and human health surveillance systems.
The expected outcomes of this workshop includes increased awareness of the One Health approach among Caribbean policymakers and professionals in public health, environmental and agriculture health, a list of One Health priority issues and activities for further development into a regional project proposal for donor funding. And that story brings us to the end of our News 4 report, a product of the Government Information Services Limited and the Ministry of Communications. I'm Joseph Lopez. Thank you for watching.